Get ready, Staten Island. It's time to celebrate 5 years of Ferry Hawks baseball. Join us Friday, April 24th through Sunday, April 26th for our first homestand of the season and our 5th anniversary celebration. Score big with $5 tickets. Grab $5 domestic draft beers. Enjoy $5 popcorn. And yes, 2 Nathan's hot dogs for just $5. Visit ferryhawks.com now to lock in your seats.
Excuse me! Taxi!
Come on, what are you doing? This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Joining us now to talk about this and so much more, we have Chairman Jim Jordan, you guys, Chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. Hey, it's so great to have you, Mr. Chairman. This is Rita. We have Judge Richard Weinberg, of course, Craig Eaton, and John is in the lucky one in Las Vegas. But first, let's get to this news. I don't know if you heard Senator Chris Murphy. Here he is a member. He's the member of the Senate. There's also, by the way, Adam Smith has made comments saying, he trusts the Iranians more than Trump. And now you got Chris Murphy saying, hey, it's awesome that shadow Iranian fleets have bypassed the blockade. Later, he came out and said, he was just being sarcastic. But is he what's going on with the Democratic Party?
Well, the president said it many times. It's common sense versus crazy. They take all kinds of crazy positions on policy, and then they say things like this, which makes no sense. I thought what the president did, and when Iran thought they were going to leverage the Strait of Hormuz, and President Trump said not so fast. I think we will take control of this and use it to our advantage as a way to get them to the negotiation table and stop them from getting a nuclear weapon. And one thing I know about President Trump, more than any other elected official I've been around, when President Trump tells you what he's going to do, he's going to do it. And that's I think just a key element of being in public service is what you tell the voters you were going to do when you ran for the job. To get elected, do what you said. And President Trump has done that. He cut taxes, secured the border, and he said that he wasn't going to let them get a nuclear weapon. And he's determined to make sure that happens.
What do you make of the fact that there are a lot of Democrats that keep wanting to do this war powers vote every single day? Here we are in the middle of war, and we've got them saying, well, no, we don't want to fund our great ally Israel.
I do not understand that either. It's unfortunate now, but you're exactly right. This anti-Israel, in some ways anti-Semitic element is now just got a big foothold in the Democrat Party. And it's scary. A once great political party here in our country, the party of FDR and JFK, now has that element, which I think, frankly, the hard left now controls that party, and it's really scary. Israel is our best friend and ally. We should do everything we can to help our ally, and understand this regime, this Iranian regime, the largest state sponsor of terrorism, has killed thousands of people. They've killed Americans, they've killed Israelis, they've killed thousands of others, and they've killed tens of thousands of their own people. And yet you have these comments come from the left, which, again, make no sense.
Today, Chairman Jim Jordan, and you were a victim of this, I believe, all this Arctic frost, with the phone records of yourself, of Kash Patel, of Susie Wiles. There was a hearing on Capitol Hill in the Senate side. Where is that going? Because how can Americans feel safe when you guys are being investigated? It makes you wonder what happens to the average citizen.
So we've done a couple things. One, we've passed legislation to limit when the government can go get your phone records, and the ability of the government to tell the carriers, Verizon, AT&T, and others, not to disclose to their customer that the government went and got their phone records. So we passed that legislation out of our committee. We think it's good, and it doesn't just apply to elected officials or key people in politics. It applies to all Americans, which is how we should do our laws. And then second, we've actually done on this whole targeting and weaponization of government. We did a criminal referral for John Brennan to the Justice Department, because we know, and we don't do many of these referrals. The facts have to be there. And they definitely were with John Brennan. He lied to us during a deposition that we were taking in the last Congress. We know he lied because of documents that Tulsi Gabbard and John Ratcliffe declassified and released. And it shows what he told us in the hearing, in the deposition, was just not the truth. And so we've referred him. The Justice Department, I think, is looking at actually indicting Mr. Brennan and others who were part of this initial weaponization 10 years ago when they started going after the president. And that whole all that's taken place down in where they're looking at this is down in the Southern District of Florida.
Judge Weinberg.
Good to talk to you again, Mr. Chairman. Would you tell our listeners who John Brennan was and is, and why it's so important that justice is meted out to him?
Well, yeah, great point. Former CIA director in the Obama administration. He's also one of the 51 people who signed that now famous letter of the 51 intel officials who said that in that letter that Hunter Biden, the whole laptop thing was a Russian information operation when they knew it wasn't. They signed on this letter.
And that was for election purposes to try to take that issue away off the table against Biden.
That was in the 20 election. But in the 2016 election, after that election, there's an intelligence community assessment, intelligence community report that John Brennan changes, and he uses the dossier as the basis to change that report. We even had an email where the email said a communication where one of the intelligence community officials said to Director Brennan, we shouldn't use this dossier. It doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. This shouldn't be a basis for us changing any intelligence community report. And Brennan says, yeah, but doesn't it ring true? Indicating his bias in that I don't care what the dossier is, it's garbage. It rings true. We should use it. We should change the assessment. And that became the predicate for the whole Mueller investigation, which undermined the first 2.5 years of President Trump's first term. So that's what they're looking at. Clear back then in 2016, late 2016, early 2017, as part of this conspiracy with all these people to undermine President Trump. And that's why we sent the referral, because he lied to us about that in his deposition.
Well, Chairman Jim Jordan, thank you so much for joining us. We always love having you on. You're always fighting the good fight. You're great.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Guys.